Okay. So welcome everyone to the Plan Amendment Community Meeting tonight. My name is Marie Meredith. I am the City of Austin Housing and Planning Department. I am the Plan Amendment Case Manager for the Plan Amendment cases that come through the city. This case tonight is NPA 2022-0002.01. If you haven't done so already, please let us know who is here in the chat box. You can type your name and organization if you're associated with one. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone, and please turn off your video if you're participating online to save the bandwidth. This meeting will be recorded and publicly posted to the speakupaustin.org/NPA website. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, please turn off your camera. So as you know, this Plan Amendment case is in the East Cesar Chavez neighborhood planning area. This screen shows my email and phone number, and Heather Chafin is the zoning planner. This is her email and phone number, and I will repeat this slide at the end of the presentation if you don't get a chance to capture it right now. So the agenda tonight will go over basic case information, guidelines for group discussion, how to participate in this process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map. After my brief presentation, the applicant will do a presentation, and then we will open the floor to questions and answers. Property addresses are 1700 East 2nd Street and 205 Chalmers Avenue. The plan amendment case number is NPA 2022-0002.01. The project name is 1700 East 2nd Street. The request is to change the future land use map from multifamily to mixed use. The associated zoning case number is C14-2022-0091. The zoning request is to change the zoning from commercial service mixed use conditional overlay neighborhood plan to commercial service mixed use VMU neighborhood plan for multifamily and commercial uses. The property owner applicant is 2nd Street LLC. The agent is Drenner Group, Leah Bojo, but I understand Leah is not being able to attend the meeting tonight, and Drew Raphael will do the presentation tonight. Guidelines for discussion. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time during this meeting. Please postpone general comments during the Q&A session. After staff and applicant presentations, if you would like to speak, please raise your hand by clicking on the hand symbol on the menu bar. Telephone participants will be able to speak during the Q&A session of the meeting. What I will do is when there's an opportunity, I will read out the last 4 digits of the phone number and let the telephone participants have a chance to ask their questions. Attendees will be muted upon arrival and through the staff and applicant presentations. Then staff will open the floor to answer questions in the chat or by attendees raising their hands to speak. Similar questions may be grouped and answered together, and please mute your microphone if you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarity of conversation. If you're having connection issues, please turn off your video until called upon to ask your question. So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the speakupaustin.org/NPA website. I will post it to the website tomorrow morning. You can email or call me and Heather anytime with questions or comments. If you provide written comments, we will add it to the staff case reports. When the cases are scheduled for Planning Commission and City Council, if you live within 500 feet of the property, you will get the notice in the mail, and it will have instructions on how to participate in these public hearings. Right now, you're able to participate virtually and in person. So why is there a neighborhood plan amendment? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. City Charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most MPAs are amendments to a plan's future land use map. Most MPAs have an associated zoning application. This map shows the areas that have City Council approved neighborhood plans, which are the areas in the purplish blue. Most of these plans also have a future land use map in addition to a plan that has the text, vision, and goals. So for the East Cesar Chavez neighborhood plan, there is a plan document that has the vision and goals and text, and a future land use map. So the future land use map, the colors represent broad land uses. For example, this property, the current land use is multifamily and is represented in orange. And with the proposed flum change request to mixed use, that color is represented by brown. This map shows the property in more detail. You can see it has mixed use to the north, single family to the east, some mixed use and single family to the south, and some mixed use and civic to the west, and that blue is the civic. To the north is the green with dots, and that is the specific regulating district. That shows that it's within the Plaza Saltillo regulating plan. Here's an aerial photo that shows the property and a Google map that shows some of the surrounding uses to the property. This is an aerial photo with the future land use map overlaid. This is the zoning map that shows the current zoning and the surrounding zonings on the property to the north, east, south, and west. Most of it looks like it is commercial service mixed use with a conditional overlay. This map shows the Imagine Austin Growth Concept Map. The circles represent regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers. And this map shows the property that in relation to those in a more detailed view. To the north is the Plaza Saltillo, TOD, regional center, neighborhood center. To the west, you can see a little bit of the orange. That is the downtown regional center. East 7th Street to the north is a activity corridor. East Cesar Chavez to the south is also an activity corridor. This map shows the property in relation to its proximity to public transportation. And that ends my presentation, and Drew Raphael will start his. Let me stop sharing. Okay, Drew, it's up to you.
Okay, give me just a second.
Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. As Maureen introduced me, I'm Drew Raphael. I'm with Drenner Group. We're representing the property owners and here to discuss with you this evening details of our neighborhood plan amendment and our zoning request. The agent for these applications is Leah Bojo. She unfortunately is not feeling well this evening, so you guys get me to come and introduce this project to you and hopefully answer all your questions. So with that said, I'll go through this real quickly and try not to take up much of y'all's time, but I do want to orient you to our property like Maureen showed. We are here at the hard corner of East 2nd Street and Chalmers Avenue. Currently, there's a restaurant space that's turned over a couple times to a couple different restaurant type tenants. And then there's a small home that was converted into a salon there on the north side of the site. The property is roughly 1/2 acre in size. As I mentioned, the uses there today are a restaurant, kind of cafe, and a salon, which is the personal improvement service use. This property has great transportation access. As you saw, it's on the hard corner of Chalmers and East 2nd. It's also located nearby to the Lance Armstrong Bikeway in the nearby Plaza Saltillo Red Line station. The next couple of slides may or may not look familiar to some of you. I know that the owners of the property presented to the East Cesar Chavez neighborhood contact team back in April, where they graciously voted to approve our out-of-cycle neighborhood plan amendment. And so now we are here this evening with you all to present with the city on our neighborhood plan amendment and our zoning request. Where we are in the process is that we have formally submitted the applications now. So we're having our neighborhood hosted neighborhood plan amendment meeting. What Maureen quickly covered was that we are requesting a rezoning from CSMU, CO, and P to CSMUV CONP. The zoning map there on the left shows our property outlined in yellow. The conditional overlay for this property specifically limits the height to 40 feet across the site. It limits the number of trips per day to 2,000, and it prohibits making conditional it prohibits and makes conditional certain uses on the property. What we would like to do is to remove the height limit and add the V vertical mixed use overlay so that we can provide a ground floor live workspace where smaller commercial tenants can have a business in the front of their units. This use is similar. The uses here would be similar to the salon that's there today. The nearby single-family zoning limits the compatibility, so the site can't really achieve the maximum height allowed by CS, but the V designation really allows for relief to the site area requirements, which limit the number of units here, meaning right now we could only build larger, expensive residential units as opposed to modest-sized units that are more affordable market rate. And then there's also an affordability requirement that the V with the V that I'll cover on the next slide. And then on the right side of this frame, you will see the future land use map like Maureen showed, and our designation is multifamily, and we are requesting to amend to a mixed use designation like you see in brown for the properties directly to the north and the south of our property. So this is very conceptual, and we showed it back in April to the neighborhood, but this kind of helps you see what we have put together as a comparison for the zoning designations. As you can see, the zoning doesn't really change on the outside what the building looks like much at all, but it allows us to put more modest units inside the envelope of the building, and it also requires 10% of those units be those rental units be set aside as for 60% MFI. The additional units also allow for us to put some of the parking below grade. The conditional overlay, as I mentioned, prohibits some of the uses or prohibits all of the uses you see here, and then makes conditional some of the uses that I'll show you on the next slide. I'll just give you a moment to look at these. And then I'm going to switch over. This is a list of all of the uses that are conditional on the property that would require a conditional use permit if they were to be used on the property. We're proposing to keep most all of these items with our rezoning request. There's a few that we're still working on deciding if we're going to request be allowed to be permitted by right. One of those being restaurant, not drive-through, just regular restaurant. And if anybody has any input or feedback on that, we're happy to hear that. These are the changes that we are proposing to the conditional overlay with our rezoning, is to remove the height limitation at 40 feet across the property. The trip limit generation, we're requesting to remove that. Right now, it's still very preliminary, but our maximum daily trip calculation is significantly less than 2,000. We're at a couple hundred trips per day, but it's our understanding that zoning staff doesn't typically put trip limitations in conditional overlays anymore. So we are just requesting to remove that as a part of our application. We are adding a townhouse residential use as a permitted use, and then potentially adding a restaurant use as a permitted use as well. And looking at Imagine Austin goals in particular, there were two Imagine Austin goals that stood out in support of this request. The first was to ensure a mix of local serving retail employment opportunities and residential uses. We feel that the V designation does a really good job of allowing us to provide these through our live work style units. And second, to redevelop with a mix of uses that are located near awesome walking, biking, and transit opportunities, which is where this site is currently located. And so with that, we'd just like to respectfully request your support for our neighborhood plan amendment from multifamily to mixed use, and our request to rezone from CSMU CO NP to CSMU V CO NP. And I'm going to end right here with Leah's contact information. I've also put it in the chat as well as my own information. So if you guys have any follow-up questions that you think of after thinking about this and you want to shoot us an email, please do so. We're happy to get in touch. Just copy both of us and one of us will get back to you.
Okay.
And with
thank
that, I'm happy to
I'm
take
sorry.
any questions.
Okay. So I don't see anybody has raised their hands. Looks like, okay, you can go.
Yes, I know that Leah Bajo is the agent, but can you disclose the owners of the property?
The owners of the property are Julie Alexander and Lion Guggenheimer.
Julie,
And they were the ones,
and what was the second name?
Lion Guggenheimer. And they presented to the neighborhood plan contact team in April.
Are they the same owners as the people directly to the north of you on the corner of Chalmers and 3rd?
That I am not sure of.
So you can't
I'm
answer
happy
that.
to ask. I do not know. I'm happy to ask and get back to you.
Yes, please.
And that was at the northwest corner of Chalmers and 3rd?
Yes, that would be the neighbors, because what you're proposing to change the zoning to is what the neighbors on that piece of property proposed to do. And there have been several complaints about noise coming from that corner.
And this is the northwest corner of Chalmers and 3rd.
That would be your neighbors directly north of you. So they're on the same, on Chalmers,
Oh, on the same block side?
on the same street, Chalmers, but it would be Chalmers and 3rd, not Chalmers and 2nd.
Okay.
You're at Chalmers and 2nd. These are Chalmers and 3rd.
Okay.
So they're the property immediately. I'd like to know if they're the same owners.
I don't believe they are, but I will definitely look into that for you.
Okay. Do I need to give you my contact information?
If you want to put it in the chat, I will reach out to you.
All right. Thank you.
For sure.
Okay, so is there any more questions? You can just either chime in or raise your hands. I see there's someone at the telephone with the last 4 digits of 0684. If you have a question, you can go ahead and speak. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay, here we go. You can go if you have a question.
No question.
No questions. Okay. Well, I can wait a few more minutes, see if anybody thinks of anything, or we can have a very short meeting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes. How much longer do we have before this goes before the Planning Commission?
It hasn't been scheduled yet. I'll work with the planning contact team after this meeting and get an idea of when they might be able to provide a letter recommendation. Anybody at this meeting or anybody who received the notice in the mail can email me and provide their recommendation as well. But at this time, the cases have not been scheduled. Let me just give a quick look. Depending on what the zoning review, the level of zoning review that it has, how quickly that can go. It's possible we could possibly get on a September Planning Commission and an October City Council, but that's just guesstimating. If you wanted to, I was going to say, if you wanted to follow up with me in a week or so, you can reach out to me, email me, or call me. I might have a better date that I can give you.
Oh, okay, that would be fine. That would be great, because my concern is if it's the same owners as the owners on the property there adjacent to these folks. I can tell you, we've already got some issues with noise. So, the residents anyway.
Okay.
Is this the single family home to the north? Is that what you're referring to? The single family to the north of this property?
Let me share a map and see if I can get, let's see. Let me find. So
Thank you,
this right
Maria.
here,
Yeah, this would be the people right to the north, on Chalmers.
right
It's on
here,
the corner of Chalmers and, no, let's see. Yes, right here.
right here.
Chalmers and Third. Is that Chalmers on the corner of Chalmers and Third? That would be them. Yes.
Right here. Okay.
So,
Yeah, I will check, but I'm 99% sure they don't own that property. Because I know that we've been in, they've had some discussions with the neighbors about redeveloping this, and so if they have, then I know that they're not the ones that own
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's the corner right there because they've got a lot of live music. And as you can see, we're right across the street from that.
Yeah, I do see. I've taken your email and I've written down your question, and Leah and I will touch base tomorrow if she's in the office, and I will get back to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so I'll wait a little bit longer. So while we're waiting, I'll just walk through the next steps. So the next steps after this meeting, my team will meet and we'll make a recommendation on the plan amendment request. I'll report back to them the questions that were asked tonight. Then the zoning planners will meet. They will make their recommendation. I'll work with the planning contact team on their timeline on getting a letter of recommendation. Like I said, anybody can send to me any comments or recommendations that they would like added to the staff case report. So when it is scheduled for Planning Commission and City Council, I will summarize this meeting. I will add any comments that I receive by email or mail. The notice that you get in the mail when it is scheduled for Planning Commission, City Council will have a comment form. You can either use that form or you can email your comments. Either way is fine. Let's see. Any questions on the process? Again, since we don't have a date specified as of today, anyone can give me a call or email me, maybe, let's see, next week. Or maybe the week after. And after I have talked to Heather, we might have a better time frame of when it will be scheduled for Planning Commission. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to get a little bit of a heads up. That's all I have. If anybody has any last minute questions. No? Okay. Well then, I will go ahead and end this meeting. I will stop recording.